Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, you guys.
First of all, thank you all for being here as well. My name is Rachel Perry. I'm the adult programming coordinator. Kathryn Kauffman. Miss Kathryn Kauffman, all the way from Lexington, joining us here tonight.
Guys, my name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night show. This is where we discover what and who we are in this journey called life. Thank you, Barbara Bacon, for being here with me on this Monday night.
I love it.
Monday nights in Lexington are always fun, and it was especially nice today. We had 68-degree weather, and so spring is on the way here.
Yay.
Because spring's on the way, I felt like we needed to do a show on why is it important to buy quality gemstones, because I get that question a lot from people. Let me check on this stream for YouTube. It is still spinning, guys. It may not work. So we may just have to shut that one down. Let's do some shout outs. Hey to Angela Adkins, Jamie Gruder, Jeanette Stein, Lisa Day, Rachel Smalley, Pamela Downey. Hey to Joy over here on Instagram and Travel Girl 2. Thanks for joining us. Happy Monday, you guys. So, Barbara, what are your thoughts on why it's important to get, I know how I feel about it, but why it's important to get quality versus quantity or cheap?
Well, I think, isn't that true with everything that we buy?
Mom used to say you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for, but I guess that's why I hand select everything, is for the quality, but also the purity of the frequency or the vibration that each stone represents. And so to me, it's important to get the very best quality and best price point for our customers, so that it facilitates and helps and supports them. If you buy cheap or stones that aren't, I want to say, awake, or not every stone is a healing crystal. And I know that sounds weird. If it's a rock, it's a rock.
Well, but in doing the research for the show, I kind of looked at the energy of the crystals, and specifically quartz crystal, because it's the biggest indicator of like energy charge and that kind of thing. So quartz crystals are piezoelectric, which means that they develop an electrical charge when under pressure. And so if you're using quartz crystals in a healing way, and let's say the crystal that you get is poor quality, it's fractured, it has a lot of imperfections in it, it's not going to conduct the electricity with great efficacy. It may be lessened, it may be varied. It would be like if you took a tuning fork and you took a notch out of your tuning fork and tried to ring it. You're not going to get the proper vibration to transmit to the person that you're trying to help. And crystals are like that. So if you take the time to get the best quality possible, the efficacy that you're using them for with your clients is going to be greater. That's just my opinion.
I agree. And working with Brooke, the stones that I have had in the past that we started with, were a different quality than I can get now
Mhm.
because of my experiences and everything else. So there's a lot of truth to that.
Mhm.
Don't think NASA doesn't go through a lot of quartz crystals and throws out a lot that they don't use because for that very same reason,
Mhm.
for the very same reason.
Yeah, they have to have high
Mhm.
quality
Yeah,
crystals to work with. Otherwise,
absolutely.
they do not get the effects that they're looking
Mm-mm.
for. And the
No.
same goes for your gemstones as well as quartz crystals. So
Mhm.
what I was looking at too was, and we were talking about cleansing your crystals, and there's a misconception that you can cleanse every crystal,
Mm.
which is, and I kind of
Mm-mm.
equate it to when I'm doing house cleansings. There are some things you cannot fix. I don't care how many prayers that you say
Yeah.
over the property, sage, salt, whatever. There are some things in my experience that I've dealt with that you cannot fix, that you cannot cleanse. And some gemstones and crystals are like that. And I was
Mhm.
thinking about, well, it's sort of the same as the property. There are energy imprints that
Mhm.
happen in a gemstone or a crystal.
Mhm.
And I'm going to give you some examples here. So in the beginning, when you have your gemstones or crystals in the ground, you get a natural imprint that's positive
Mhm.
from the earth, which is Schumann resonance, and that's 7.45 hertz. And it's equative to alpha wave meditative brainwave state.
Mhm.
So that's part of why gemstones and crystals can make you feel so centered, good, meditative, is because you're in training to the energy
Mhm.
of that 7.45 hertz. But what if you have a lot of negative layering on top of that? Like, for example, these gemstones and crystals are very quiet in the earth except for geological happenings. But consider the pickaxe vibrating to knock that crystal out of its place. Blasting, when they blast the crystals and gemstones out of their position. You may have drilling too, where they take those big drills and you've got all those vibrations that are layering on those gemstones and crystals. The heavy equipment, those big diggers that go in there and pull the gemstones out. And there can be fracture of the crystal. It could be broken off of a cluster during extraction. You can have trauma from a miner getting hurt or killed from falling rock, or the cave collapsing. So you have that traumatic release of energy.
That's usually the one that I usually see.
Mm-hmm.
Is usually a boy or a child or a small man with a backpack on his back.
Yeah.
And usually I will witness from the crystal, it will show me
What
the
happened?
trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
And
then past the layering of the physical extraction, you have like theft, illegal transactions that go on with these crystals. Some of the biggest illegal transactions and theft goes on in India. They also, and we were talking about this earlier, as mines run out and they close, you're going to see more crystals and gemstones that are not exactly fake, but treated in a way to make them more marketable. Like a lot of turquoise and stuff is going to be injected with plastics and dyes to enhance inferior quality gemstones. And also some are being faked completely, like we were talking about the howlite.
The howlite's awful. I mean, the howlite has just been, it's had so many bad dye jobs. It's been awful. And, because the weight is kind of the similar. So they've really gotten very clever.
You mean doing howlite like turquoise?
Like turquoise and stuff. So that, sometimes you can tell, like obsidian, it's very light, as a general rule. And so I have to be careful.
But see, that's where getting a reputable gemstone dealer that you have a good rapport with is somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows what to look for. You don't have to worry about getting taken. If you're buying bargain basement stuff, you really have to worry about what you're going to get in the mail. Okay. You may not get what's pictured online, and then there's no recourse. You can't return that. You can't take it back. And you've wasted your money and you're out. But if you're working with a reputable dealer, and let's say the gemstone doesn't work out for you, or it just doesn't go with you after a week, you can return it and say, Barbara, this is not working for me. Let's get something else. And she will work with you to do that. That's a reputable gemstone dealer, in my opinion. So you were telling me about something they were doing with hematite. There's some hematite.
That was the big warning when I was on our last buying trip. That's some of our people that we deal with were saying to us, hey, just want you to know, we've run across some hematite that isn't hematite. We test it, we cut it, we do all the things, and they've gotten really, really clever and good that even some of the geological people are having a difficult time. You know, it's...
So what are they doing with the hematite how are they faking this?
Well, they're artificially mass producing it in China or some other countries that are being paid highly by less reputable people to pass it on. You know, it depends on if you're in different, how do I say, if you're in the metaphysical world, or if you're in the designer, interior design, you're going to have big companies that are going to pay other companies in other countries to alter them, to make them look like, but they were not meant to be made as healing stones. They were just doodahs to make your house look pretty. So, I have a problem with that too.
Yeah, me too.
Huge problem.
Because a lot of people are wanting the stones to improve their life, or maybe for protection or whatever.
Yeah, for their home. Yeah.
But they're not getting that because
no. And the bigger companies, they're doing great marketing. They're appealing to your emotions, saying that they're spinning it with I've hand selected, this has been hand selected for you for quality.
So what we were talking about, they may have hand selected it out of a magazine from a picture.
Or they just picked up the phone and ordered it.
That was hand selected.
That was hand selected.
So if you could give us some pointers on how can people, because there's people tuning in from all over the place tonight, how can people find a local reputable dealer? What are the things that people need to look for?
Well, I think that the people, number one, shop local. If all they're selling are crystals, you have a better chance of getting a better quality because that's their whole company, right? Support local if you can. If you can't, then obviously, call me. But
but you do mail order too, don't you?
We ship all over the world, and I am diligently working very hard to get us where we can. People can purchase on Instagram, where you can get that little shopping box now, and you'll get the price, and I'm working on that. So I think also it is about knowing who that person is, get a reputation, get a relationship with them, tell them, talk to them on the phone.
Maybe if you don't know anybody, get a recommendation from somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing I look for is, sorry, I'm not able to see here. Another thing I look for is, how long has the person been in business?
Right.
Is this somebody who's not going to be there to support your purchase tomorrow, or is this somebody who's making an investment in the community?
Yeah, read the reviews. Read the reviews on, their Facebook page, their eBay page. I mean,
check their knowledge base too. Are they studied about their crystals? Can they tell you where they're sourced from and how they go about sourcing them? Because pretty much everybody you buy from.
Absolutely. I know every single person. And if I don't know someone and they have something I want, I ask around. I ask my friends who I trust, who I buy from. They'll say, hey, stay clear. I think the shows that we go to where we do buy, they do a pretty darn good job of combing out the people. But, there are some vendors at some of the biggest shows in the country that aren't there to sell crystals whatsoever, but use the crystals to do other things with. So
I think you've got a question over here on Instagram from Jenny. Do you have a recommended place to purchase from? Yes, Jenny, tell her about your shop.
So I'm the owner of Crystal Crazy, and also the owner of Aura at Home. Both are gemstone decor and healing stones, one and the same. I'm trying very hard to break the thought that, say, for example, our selenite lamps can't be a healing stone because it has a function. That's silly. That's silly.
Right. It can be a 2-for-1. It's a perfect 2-for-1.
Perfect 2-for-1. And also, I started Crystal Crazy because I do have a degree in interior design, and when I talked to people about their crystals, they said they were in a shoebox.
Oh, I know.
Well, get them out. Bring them out. Have them, you wouldn't put your dog in a cage. So anyway,
that's pretty
crystals.
good.
Crystals are all we do, besides the sprays and things. But I'm really more about helping people.
That's your focus, and then so that says a lot about being a reputable dealer too. Is you're not a place that has gemstones on the side. So a lot of places, I'm going to give you the example of, how you can go into Cracker Barrel and they've got all that crap that you go in and look at on your way to the dining room. And sometimes they have a lot of gemstones in there. And I just cringe when I kind of look at the quality of them, because the huge majority of those that are in those type of places are heavily dyed
because they're the cheapest.
With plastics.
Yeah, because they're the cheapest, and they're for the kids. They're cheap.
Yeah. So, if you're going to buy some stuff for your kids to play with, just leave that for that purpose. Let me do some quick shout outs here and check for questions. Shout out to Charlotte Northcutt and Peanut Dunn. Hey, how are y'all? Sean, Sandra, Rosalie, and that must be your ever loving there.
Yeah, he's on my computer.
Hey to Brad, Sheila, George McKinney, thank you for joining us. Sandra Lee, Patty O'Brien, and I'm wondering, Patty, is it getting any warmer up there where you are? A special shout out to Ashley, Sally Hart, and Deanna Childers. And if you guys have any questions for Barbara or for me, just put them in the comments on the professional page. Shout out to Phyllis Coley, Hayden, and Christina Howard.
Somebody said, can I post an address? So a lot of times we're by appointment. We're available 7 days a week, and we work around everyone's schedule. I am trying to take a day off once in a while.
I don't believe
it. One day, maybe every couple of weeks.
I don't believe it.
I have a lot of people who will text me, say they're looking for something, and I literally will we will start a dialoguing of sending pictures back and forth. And once they find something that they love, then I just package it up and mail it to them.
So after the show, what we'll do, I did put a link to the Crystal Crazy Facebook page in the description for the video. But after we get done, we'll put the phone number you can text in the comments below. And we were also talking about with the closing of mines, and a lot of mines that used to be open are no more. And so when you spend for quality gemstones now, these are not going to be available in the future. And so it's an investment, because as the mines close, you're going to have really quality things that aren't available anymore.
Right.
So it's important to think of it as an investment.
Well, even on the stock exchange, the natural resources, the minerals, they don't lose value ever. It doesn't matter what's going on. They never lose their value. And, you know, to be very honest, we've had stones that we've had for a while, and the price that's on them today, I can't buy them for that. So
they appreciate.
They appreciate.
As the mines, as the this is a finite. This is something that's finite. We will eventually run out of gemstones and crystals to be able to supply those to the public. These are finite resources. So if you can get quality ones for a good price, I urge you to do that and not go with the cheaper, fake type of quality. Now, so can you talk about a couple of the people that you work with to get the gemstones, what they're like?
We're all weird, just like the same, you know, I mean, rock people are rock people. You know, what I really like about, because we work mostly with the people who own the mines, I know about their families. I know that my amethyst people in Uruguay have a son, and he's not into the rock so much, but they really believe in the mining and stuff, because they want him to have a nest egg when they get too old to do it. Our people in Madagascar, you know, they've built schools and hospitals and support the people who are doing the work. So it's not just the money, it's a relationship. We have relationships with the people we buy from. I mean, I love some of my friends that, I mean, I know when my one friend, his mom's got cancer. I mean, there's a
working relationship.
There's a family, and it is about relationships. It is about relationships.
So Melissa Wilson has a question for you. Is it important to charge the stones during a full moon, which is tonight, and tonight is a super moon, and it's a worm moon?
Well, I know what it gets like at my place. It's like I wait for the disco ball to come out of the ceiling, or night at the museum. I don't know which.
Night at the museum.
You know, I think it's great. I can't haul everybody out. It would be, I'm sure love it.
If you could only put out, let's say, keystones, though, what were those
then I would
be under that influence the most?
Then I would look for the ones that look or feel the most tired.
Gotcha. Maybe ones that you use a lot.
Or that you haven't cleansed.
Right. Maybe you haven't cleansed them in a while, or maybe you've used them too much.
Well, I have a bad story to tell on my sister, but since I know that she doesn't watch this, I can tell it. So she loves labradorite like crazy. And it's all over her house from my store. But I asked her, you know, have you taken these guys out lately? Like, it'd been years. And so I took everybody, and it just happened to be a full moon that night.
Oh, wow.
And I took everybody outside, and I'm sorry, but I just turned the hose on them. I just turned the hose on them.
That's okay.
And I left them out for like 2 days. They were like completely different crystals when I brought them back in. You can see the difference. They're like sponges. They can only transmute so much. And then they get clogged and heavy and dull and lifeless. And I think sometimes the stones that we have had the longest, they get tired. And of course, your frequency has changed. And the stones that you're attracted to, you need a higher frequency because you've evolved.
Right.
So.
Okay, here. Hey, shout out to Amy Rouse Perry. Good to see you here tonight, girl. And Shay wants to know, what does it mean when two stones are calling for you? I tend to carry both on me.
Well, I think,
And so she's referencing amethyst and labradorite, but I use it as a worry stone. I dropped and chipped it.
I think that I try and teach people to check in with themselves. There are times that I have my arsenal of stones that I carry with me that I know for a fact will help me get to a place. And if you think of stones more as a frequency than actually the healing properties, you'll find that it's when we put 2, 3 stones in a combination, it is not either or, it's the cumulative frequency of both put together that will give you a feeling that helps you navigate whatever it is you're working on.
That's a good way to explain it. I hope that made
does that make sense
to you, Shay?
Does that make sense?
Shout out to Brenda Sue Wagner. I did want to go over some of the things to watch for fakes. A lot of gemstones that come from India and China are they're really known for being swindled and providing fakes. But there are some in particular they were talking about. Turquoise in particular has a lot of plastic injection and dyeing in it. And then in China and India, a lot of the gemstones are treated to enhance the color. Most often aquamarine, amethyst, sapphire, ruby, citrines are pretty much all heated. Emeralds are one of the worst to be faked. And what I found in research was that, and these fakes are really even pulling the wool over a lot of gemstone dealers, where they're bonding glass on top of the gemstone. And it's very difficult to see that layering effect. But the glass, they said, has like air bubbles.
I think so. A lot of the standards are set by the American and the International Gemology Association. And there's what's acceptable for a ring may not be necessarily acceptable for our work. Right. So me personally, Barb, am more drawn to a natural citrine. But to be very honest, I'm kind of weaning out the heat enhanced citrine, which is poor quality amethyst that has been heat treated. Okay. But it's still
citrine.
It's still considered citrine. But because it's so much cheaper than good quality citrine, except for the stuff I get from Brazil, I get a fabulous price on it. But it's a different
beautiful citrine from Brazil.
It's a different color,
and it's a different vibration.
It's a totally different vibration. You know, we've had a huge surge of the angel aura, that's called. It's titanium enhanced, it's blingy.
And you know, some people want that, that's okay.
They do, and they love it. And you know, and that's okay. There's no wrong. I mean, you're the one paying
if
for
that's what you're drawn to, maybe you're drawn to that vibration,
right?
You know, you have some of that for them, but
a little.
Your reputable gemstone dealer is going to tell you this was treated with this, or this is heat treated, or this is treated with that.
I think we do a lot of educating. I think the public have been so submerged in stones that have been dyed. I mean, there are some retail stores that purposely color their stones, but actually people think that's real. Like agates are not hot pink.
No,
they're just not.
They're not hot.
They're not hot pink. So I think that people believe what they are exposed to. And I think that's the one thing that I proved to a lot of people this weekend when we were at the horse park. Real doesn't need to be dyed.
Right.
It's perfect just the way it is. It's exquisite.
Okay, so Shay wants to know, what do y'all think about Earthbound Trading Company gemstones? I'm not familiar with them, Shay, but it's like we were talking about earlier. If you know somebody who's local, who's been there a long time, who is going to be there tomorrow and not out of business or gone, or when you purchase something and you have a problem with it or something, it's just, for me, it's all around best to buy from somebody I know who knows what they're doing, who's been doing it a long time, who cares about what they're doing, who's passionate about their work, and who has a genuine, helpful, want to help people achieve the effects that they want to get with working with gemstones. So when you're dealing with a company like online, there's no person to go to if there's a problem. There's no person to ask questions about or really bounce information off of. Is this the best or is this the best?
Right. And I think that's why we talk to a lot of people. It's I want to know what are you working on? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And they may have in their ideas, oh, well, I want this stone because that's what I read. But once we keep working, they find that they can have a much finer pinpointed frequency that's going to help them get there faster or accomplish better.
Right.
Substitute. Not more expensive. It might be cheaper.
Right.
So,
but you're only going to get that if you deal with somebody on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
So Patty says, I wear a moonstone necklace when going to a meeting with few people I work with who are not so nice. I call it my shield. These people never bother me when I have it on. That is so awesome, Patty.
Yeah, Patty, you can also use that as a pendulum as well, sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me check,
clear that room really easy.
Questions on the professional page. Shout out to Jonathan Hogue. Awesome to see you here. And let's check for questions over here on Instagram. Let's see. Was there any over there? I can't really see. I don't think so. So I want to make a couple more points before we call it an evening. If you're using your gemstones in a therapeutic way, if you are working with gemstones and you have clients that you desire therapeutic effects, I want you to really think about using quality for your clients. And the reasons why is if you get inferior quality, if you get ones that have a lot of inclusions or they may be fractured or things like that, that can really affect the vibration, the efficacy of the vibration for you and your clients. Also, if the color is dampened, because we all know that color wavelength really affects the aura of the person. And if the wavelength is dampened or the color is dampened, that vibration is not, the amplitude is not enough to be therapeutic, in my opinion. So it makes that gemstone less effective. And in a sense, you're giving your client kind of a substandard treatment.
Well, and you're working harder.
Yes, you're working
working harder. I'll tell you what, when I give a Reiki session, they get to pick what they'd like to bring in the session. And we have a good time.
So they get to pick stones from the shop?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have fun. I'm like, pick out some friends you want to bring in. We'll put them under the table. They sit on selenite. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It makes it, it's always unique, what they choose.
So before we end for the evening, I want you to tell people some of the stuff some of the bigger things that you guys provide, like the selenite lamps and the tables and things like that.
I think I've been working on this I'm turning 60 in like 10 days, so this has
Happy
been,
birthday!
yeah, thank you. It is, and especially this past year, we've done a lot of home gridding. And it's much like putting up a security system for
energy.
Mm-hmm. So it is about, because many of us bring our work home with us, our homes have gotten so energetically polluted mm-hmm. that it's just an extension of our rotten day, possibly.
Yeah.
And so we're finding, and I think that this is where I'm really going to focus, and it's out of the box, but by having decor pieces, lamps, whatever, or bigger pieces, strategically placed, and I had friends who went and became feng shui masters and stuff. So I'm not saying that anything against them, but I would rather have my house serve me than me have to worry about if the door is facing the right way or mm-hmm. whatever. That's too much work.
Well, a lot of us are in situations where we can't alter things to make it feng shui.
No.
And to me, and it's just like, we have a previous show on helping kids with abilities.
Yeah.
And we were talking on the show about how there's less of a need to smudge. Let's say mm-hmm. if you put a selenite lamp in your home, yes, it's a big investment, but the energy coming off of that is going to cover pretty much the whole house.
You know, it's true. It is true. And we have lamps for every price point. But a friend saw our booth this weekend through pictures. And it was an antique show. And so he saw some other pictures of maybe some haunted antiques.
Okay.
And so he said that because I had quite a bit of crystals with me and like quite a few of Brad's hand-carved lamps, that it was absolutely, people could feel our booth clear across the room. Mm-hmm. And it was much like a barrier, like a guard dog.
Yeah. Keeping
all of the less frequency things at bay.
Right.
And so,
so for example, in doing what I do in psychic medium, mm-hmm. I'm up at all hours of the night, sometimes with people trying to talk to me at night, which is not that, okay, that's not fun, because here I am almost 60. I need sleep. So I'm equating it to, mm-hmm. I have selenite wards over every window and every door in this house. Mm-hmm. But if I were to invest in a selenite lamp, mm-hmm. would I have to have those? No, I wouldn't. Mm-mm. But at the time that I had to do this, I didn't know you. So
right. Well, and I have to sing my husband's praises, because he's got a really unusual relation. I mean, beautiful. He's got an unusual relationship with the selenite, and when he hand carves it and hand polishes it, some pretty magical things. And what's really cool is that we're finding a lot of embedded quartz crystal.
Oh wow.
Also in the selenite.
That's awesome.
Which, like,
that's an everybody knows quartz is an amplifier.
Absolutely.
So it's blowing that energy even further out from the selenite.
Illuminating it.
Yeah. Charlotte wants to know, how do I know if the stones I already have are good? I would say, Charlotte, maybe, I don't know if you agree, if wherever you live, take it to a reputable dealer and let them evaluate them.
I think that I have faith in people. I have faith that you can feel, whether or not. I think
maybe douse over them.
You can douse. You can use a pendulum. I people send me pictures all the time. Mm-hmm. And
are you able to tell anything from a picture?
Oh yeah. I think that we get emotional attachments because we associate where we bought the rock,
Yeah.
on what trip.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to tell. But I just think being proactive moving forward, and you're going to be naturally drawn to the stones of quality versus the ones of less quality. It's a frequency thing.
I think your gut feeling
Your
will
gut
tell
feeling.
you, Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are your favorite stones in the bedroom?
This is a family show.
Actually, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
Because on my
Ooh.
YouTube channel, I have it marked for no kids.
Oh, thanks, Kathryn. Okay, favorite stones in the bedroom. You know, we moved last year, and when we moved, I had my favorite guys on my nightstand. I'll have to say that the Sardonyx is the new one, because once in a while I'll wake up at that 3 o'clock.
Yes.
And I start thinking about every negative thing that I haven't resolved. And I grab a rock and just hold on to it. And it severs the noise in my head. And I fall right asleep. So we came home last night from the show, and I told Brad, I was like, excuse me, I would like to have a selenite lamp next to my bed, okay?
Yeah.
You know, the cobbler's child had no shoes, right? But
oh gosh,
I think that it depends on what you want your bedroom. Need a little more romance? Call me. We'll talk.
So Brenda Sue wants to know, so these lamps you all are talking about will keep bad things and energy and spirits away. They do for me, Brenda Sue. Selenite in specific really radiates a white, glowing, pure type of positive energy that just really pushes things that are negative out.
Well, and you know, if you've got a loved one who keeps showing up, they might want to have something to talk to you about. So, you know, you need to call Kathryn, you know, and say, hey, I've got this pesky friend.
Pesky spirit.
Know. So I think that, you know, we stand behind our things 100%.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about, Brenda Sue, to deal with a reputable dealer. Let's say that you get a selenite lamp and you don't feel like you're getting the effects that you should.
Yeah.
You would be able to take that back and say, let's try something else.
Well, just talking to them, I could tell her whether or not. And seeing what, but it is about gridding your house and raising the frequency. Everybody has a natural 1 to 10 range of where we can sleep and are restful and are in our normal range. And it's when we dip below that is when we get emotional, we have difficulty navigating. So I'm seeing that when we can raise our frequency ourselves, then we're able to navigate our life a lot better.
Right. So Melissa wants to know, is it strange to be attracted to specific colors which facilitate your reasons for purchasing crystals?
No. I mean, I learned early on that the brain is naturally drawn to the colors, and we are drawn to those colors, interpret the frequency, and associate an emotion to it, and then that tells us, oh, I love that color. It reminds me of the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's subconsciously what you need at that point.
It is exactly. You are naturally drawn, because we have thousands of stones, as many of you who are on watching and stuff know. How do I pick? Your eye will naturally take you to the color and the frequency, because the color has frequency. Paint color has a vibration. I mean, that's
Melissa
color theory.
Wants to know, you were talking about cleansing the stones. How do you recommend doing this? What's your favorite way to cleanse stones? Because there are so many.
Oh my goodness. I want to do things the simplest way.
Me too.
Seriously,
I don't have time to do a 7-night moonlight ritual.
No, hey, if you're 30 and you got the energy for it,
oh yeah,
to me, you know, I will use sage periodically, but now I just get out my holy water. You know, we order it from Lourdes, France, and you know, I also use the Tibetan bowls, and I use my selenite. Our therapeutic selenite is like a #1. That's my go-to. I mean, I put everything on that, including myself. So,
what's
you know.
And before we end, what's the difference between regular selenite and your therapeutic, the stuff that you have?
It's phenomenal.
It is.
It's phenomenal. It comes from one mind. I've used it for years. It comes in, it's a gypsum that is in layers versus the selenite sticks, or what even we make our lamps out of. It is food grade. I have seen people, who are very, very sick sit on it, on the selenite seeds, and feel better. And that's why I always called it therapeutic, because before I have a Reiki session, I'd have a client sit, and it just chills you out, you know, and it relaxes
sat on it.
you.
It really works.
And my animals love it. Animals love it.
Yeah. Brenda Sue wants to know, well, I've never felt energy from a stone because I've never had any. But I believe it's time to start. I need my home to be safe haven for my family, because it seems we're always drawing in bad things. Well, selenite's a place to start. And there are other gemstones that you can use that do similar things, like, you know, quartz crystal is one, apophyllite is one that's good for gritting.
Surround yourself with things you love. You know, it's really important. You know, if you're going to make the investment, pick a piece that just delights you. It's naturally going to have the frequency to help support you. I know years ago when I started doing the Reiki, I bought a bunch of rocks. I had no idea why I bought them, and I shipped them home. Brett thought I'd lost my marbles. And every morning I would choose, my pendulum would choose a different stone. And I found that the frequency when I would be emotionally stuck had the ability to like push me up over the top and past or over through whatever issues I was dealing with more easily and more kindly and gentle. And so I learned to depend on these guys to help me be the best version of me.
Yeah, they're our best helpers, I think.
They really are.
And so you guys make the investment in some quality stuff. And like we said, it's going to be something that increases in value as the years go by. They're not ever going to decrease in value.
Right.
That's all we have for tonight. Next Monday night, tune in for dying rituals. And that's gonna be a several part series, because there's a whole lot of dying rituals. This is something you need to watch before someone in your family passes away.
Wow.
Very important.
Wow.
Okay.
Bye.
Kisses from Kentucky, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. See you next Monday. You guys have a fabulous week.